this is a good candidate for the worst, was on the same issue, the issue of race. And it was before the Civil War. And it was the court made a huge error. No one knows quite why. Maybe they were trying to be political. But there was a man, Dred Scott, who was a slave. And he sued for his freedom. He sued for his freedom on the ground that he had lived in a free territory. He probably was right. Because at that time, before the Civil War, even though there was slavery, if a slave lived in a free territory long enough, he was free. The Supreme Court took the case, and it was terrible. They said, even assuming he's free, because he is the descendant of slaves, he's not a person, a citizen of the United States, and he can't bring a suit in this court. That was pretty bad. But it got worse. After that, they said that the laws that Congress has passed in order to prevent the spread of slavery, the Missouri Compromise, among others, that those laws violate the Constitution. And then it got worse, because they said, if a slaveholder comes with his slaves into a free territory like New York or Massachusetts, that state cannot take the slave away from him. It's his property. The slave is his property. Human being, but a slave. My goodness, that was a terrible decision. And the dissent in that decision pointed out, where do you find that in the Constitution? Even the Constitution of the time, even before the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments that stopped slavery. Where do you find that in the Constitution? Good question. I've read the opinion. It's hard to find an answer. And then people got terribly upset, in the North particularly. The New York legislature issued a report which said, my goodness, after this decision has become the law, what will happen is that slave driver with his manacled slave gang will come to the foot of Bunker Hill, the symbol of freedom, and will walk around with these people in chains. And you may be next. I mean, they were pretty annoyed and pretty angry. And the one good that came out of it is that Abraham Lincoln, holding in his hand the dissent of Benjamin Curtis, gave a great speech at Cooper's Union and became the champion of the anti-slavery movement in America, the political champion, obtained the nomination of the Republican Party for president, and eventually, though after a terrible civil war, eventually slavery was abolished. But no thanks to, except in an ironic sense, no thanks to Dred Scott. I think that's generally viewed as the worst.